All right. Hello, everyone. I think we are live today. I'm Lisa. I'm the Director of Digital Media here at Fisher House Foundation. And we are live with, with just making sure we're running live. We're live with Brian Gawne, who is our VP of Community Relations. And we're here to talk all things scholarships. Fisher House has 2 scholarship programs and the deadlines are coming up. So we're really excited to talk to all you parents, especially about getting your kids one of these scholarships. So hi, Brian. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, it's great to be here, Lisa. Excited to talk about this.
Yeah. Well, you've been running the program now for so many years and seen just the growth in what you guys are doing. So I'm excited for all the parents who are out there looking, especially right now, for looking at scholarships and sort of how that search process goes to kind of get them kicked off and started.
Yeah, first thing I'll say is if you get nothing else out of this, know that you can go to our website, fisherhouse.org, click on programs. All our scholarship programs are there. Or you can go to militaryscholar.org. Both of those will take you to our scholarship pages. So with
That's
that,
perfect.
why don't I start pitching into how we can do this?
Love it.
All right. Hopefully there we go. I'm gonna ignore that little warning there. And hopefully I just didn't sign out. All right, we'll try that again. It's always fun.
That's all right. Well, now you can see that's the page where it's going to be.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk about our Scholarships for Military Children program, our Heroes Legacy Children program for the children of fallen and 100% disabled service members. Going to talk about the National Military Family Association Scholarship Program for military spouses. And then I'm just going to talk about our online search engine, other resources, and just some general advice when it comes to scholarships. So let's see if I can do this again now. Hit the next page. You know, just looked at some numbers. The average price for a private school education, when you throw in tuition, room, books, the whole Megillah, is like $58,000. And for a public university, it still comes to about, $28,000, a lot of money. So
Yeah.
being able to find scholarships to help you cover some of those costs are really critical. So I'm going to kick right off with our Scholarships for Military Children program. This program, some people call it the commissary scholarship because you used to have to drop your applications off at the commissary where you lived. Now we can actually apply online. For our Heroes Legacy and this program, you can apply online through our website. The good part is, though, some of those defense commissary vendors are sponsors for our program, and we get funded by them and from donations all across the country to help pay for these programs, as well as to help us fund our Fisher houses we bill every year. This program is a merit-based scholarship, so it's competitive. The scholarship award is $2,000. It's for 1 year. Students would have to reapply each year. And we plan on giving out 500 scholarships here. So that's $1 million in scholarships. They apply at that website I gave you earlier, militaryscholar.org. The applications actually opened up mid-December, and the last day to apply is Valentine's Day. So that's an easy date to remember. You got to have your scholarships in by Valentine's Day. Students can reapply each year over 4 years. And for those, if it's a 5-degree, there's very few college degrees are actually 5-year degrees, but like architecture is an example, they can put in a request to be considered for a 5th year. To be eligible for the program, you need to have an ID card. And, you are, as a military dependent, you're entitled to an ID card until you're 21 years old. But if you go to college, they actually extend that age to 23. So if you have not turned 23 by the day school starts, you're still eligible to have an ID card and eligible to apply for the program. It's open to children of active duty, reserve, National Guard, and retired military members. The student needs to be enrolled in the Defense Enrollment System, DEERS, which basically it's tracks eligibility for these things, and they've got to have a valid ID card. So if you don't have that, you can go to Rapid Sites, sites.com, and that will help you find where there's a place to get an ID card near you.
Oh, great.
Students have to be enrolled full-time, and it's for your bachelor's degree. I get periodically got questions. Hey, I'm working on my graduate degree. We have a limited amount of money, and it's for students that are enrolled full-time in a bachelor's program. And the minimum GPA for a high school student is a 3.0, and for a college student is a 2.5 to compete for this scholarship. Does that all make sense to you, Lisa?
It does. Now, when you're competing, are you competing nationwide, or are you competing? How are you competing? Are you competing with
Really
each
great
state?
question. So the way it works is when you apply, you have to designate a commissary, the one you shop at, or maybe you're retired, you just pick the closest one to you, and you're competing with the other students at that commissary. Every commissary that gets at least one application will be able to award at least one scholarship. After that, it's prorated on the number of applicants. We tend to get about 4,000 or 5,000, applicants. We'll pick the top 500. So, like if they get 10 applicants, we may pick 1 or 2 out of that commissary. So, great question.
Yeah, that's great, because that also means that military kids who are overseas can apply as well.
Yeah. And let's see. So I'll cover that program. Next thing I talk about are Heroes Legacy, which is our other program for military children. And this is for children of those who died in the service. Didn't have to be a combat injury, died in the service, or they left the service with 100% disability or got 100% disability rating from the VA, or they received a serious injury and received traumatic service members traumatic group life insurance for their injuries. That's the qualifying piece going in. Again, a merit-based scholarship, less competitive than the other one though. The award amount is usually determined by the number of applicants and how much money we get to the program. Last year it was $2,000. This is our 13th year. We gave away 743 scholarships in this program last year. Wow. So we try to accommodate as many of these qualified students as we can. We'll hit a limit if money's tight. It gets a little more competitive. So it's still, this is a scholarship. You got to be a good scholar.
Yes.
But we'd love to help the children who are facing and their family facing this type of challenge. Little different. You still go to militaryscholar.org, but when you click on the actual apply link, it's legacy.militaryscholar.org. And again, same deadline to make it easy for everybody. It opened in December. Perfect. You've got to get your application in by midnight on Valentine's Day. And I say that, get your applications in. Lisa, get them in early. Yeah. You don't want to be trying to get, battling whatever challenges the internet may have for you that day when you're trying to apply. I've got a story about that later. Again, the scholarship is for 1 year. You have to reapply each year. And then again, also you can apply for 4 years, 5th if you're in a 5-year major. Again, also it is for a bachelor's degree full-time student. So all that stuff on the right, identical, more or less, at least the qualifications. Again, it's for those who died, children of those who died in service, or 100% disabled, or received traumatic service members group life insurance. Okay, how are we doing so far, Lisa?
Perfect.
All right. So those are our scholarships for military children. Let's talk about their parents. Now, rather than start up our own scholarship program, we never want to duplicate something somebody else is doing or try to avoid that as best we can. We got a lot of questions about, spouse scholarships, and said, hey, there's already a really great military organization that's doing that, the National Military Family Association. And they have a military spouse scholarship. one of the cool things about their scholarship is, we have a deadline. They actually have a roll application all year long. So
That's
like
awesome.
quarterly, they'll select applicants. It's for spouses of active duty service members, retired, 100% disabled, guardsmen, reservist. And if you were divorced and were married long enough to still retain the dependent benefits, you could apply as well. And you need to be eligible for an ID card for them. The really neat thing about this program, a lot of spouses aren't going full time, they may be managing a home, working a job, taking part-time education. That fits into this program. Not only that, the really great thing about NMFA Spouse Scholarship Program is, some spouses are teachers, they're nurses or lawyers, and they may have a license that, they have to get a license in that state, and then they move to another state. If it doesn't transfer over, they've got to reapply there. They'll actually help them with some of those licensing funds. And they also will help people or spouses that are trying to start up businesses. Great organization. And I recommend them going to militaryfamily.org to learn more about those programs.
Yeah, I think their programs are amazing. The meeting the spouses where they're at, which is what I
You
love.
bet. Scholarships at militaryfamily.org is where you can find out specifically off their page about this program.
Perfect.
All right. Well, those are our scholarships, but we also know that, you may get $2,000 from us, but that big number of 28,000, for a public school or twice that for a private school, you're still looking for other scholarships. Well, we actually have a scholarship search engine that searches specifically for scholarships targeted towards military families. And most of them are for military children. The folks that started this, the person was a librarian and kind of kept this. Actually, Military Officers Association used to have this search engine, and when they decided that they were going to pass on it, we asked them for the source, and we got in touch with the database folks, and we've been doing it for the last several years. It's really nice. Hundreds of scholarships in this database. Small ones, big ones, little ones. As if you know of a scholarship for military families, you can send them to us, or even on there's info on the application here that you can do that. The really cool thing about this is it does not collect, we don't collect information. There are other scholarship search engines out there, but they want to get your email, they want to get your address so they can send solicitations to you. And it's free. There's no subscription charge or anything. The student, when they're all done, they get their search results. They can see it online, but they can also download that to a PDF file. So then they can print it. And the other thing is it's available all year long. So maybe our applications, or you've run into like, gosh, you can search there and you may find some scholarships that have deadlines later or go year long. So how does that scholarship search engine work? You would go to our website, click on the search engine, and you'll have to start an account. You'll give a name and number so that you can revisit. You don't have to start from scratch each time. Enter a password, an account name and a password, and then you'd log in. And then I'll ask you questions about yourself. So, what's your current education? So, in high school or in college, give you some personal information, any characteristics of your family situation, because some scholarships might target certain individual demographics. Might be this one for Army, or this one for children of the Navy, or this one just military in general. So it's looking for affiliations, activities, parents' occupation, and then college preferences. And so you'd fill out each one of those things. And then when you're all done, it'll give you a little page, make sure it'll even double check that you filled out all those questions. And if you don't have a red check, you probably missed one of the blocks. You can go in and fill that back up. But when it's all done and you fill everything out, it does an automatic search and it says, hey, like in this case, you
Oh,
may
wow.
qualify for $2 million worth of scholarships. It's found hundreds of scholarships. Now, when you look into there, some of those you may not be eligible for. As I say, it doesn't have a really defining base. It generalizes, but what it does from the millions of scholarships, it shortens it down to the ones that have a military affiliation.
Yes.
So then you just click on the results, and then it'll give you the list, and you'll see what those scholarships are. And then you could go to any one of those scholarships. Let's try this allied military thing. And I go click on that. And then it's going to give you all the details on a sheet. Hey, who's eligible for this scholarship? How much is the money? Does it have, oh, this one's a 2-year scholarship. What's the deadline? It'll have that information. So you can start tracking those and printing out the ones you want and put them in a pile. And okay, these are my top 10 that I'm
Yeah.
going to apply for. And ideally, some of them, not all of them, they actually have the website where you can apply. Some you may have to mail off or whatever, or reach out to them, but that's a really happy thing.
Oh,
And
that's
for any
great.
scholarship, that website that they have is really critical because that's going to give you the straight skinny.
Absolutely. On to this is my favorite part. Every year we get to talk about, wish I had had this when I was going to college
Oh,
way back
no kidding. Well, I learned as my kids were applying for college as a military family, it's expensive. You're trying to do all that, and had a couple of kids in college at the same time, and
Right.
knowing those resources, you learn a lot. So let's suppose you found our scholarship or anybody else's. Some general advice: read all the instructions. Read through the application. Make sure you qualify. Uh, See if they have frequently asked questions, because instead of, you may not be able to find anybody there. Most of the times on their website, they'll have all the information you need. When you're filling out these scholarships, if they ask you about activities or awards and all that, uh, this is not the time to be humble. the
Definitely not.
Don't be boastful. Uh, when a student is applying to a university, they're looking for the same thing a scholarship is looking for. I was on the scholarship selection committee for the NROTC program nationwide when they select all the students across the country for an NROTC scholarship. And I've also been on a couple other selection panels for congressmen for the service academies. And it's interesting. They're looking through the same thing that Cornell and Harvard and Michigan are all looking for. They want students that are, well-rounded, good academics, and they want them to be successful because they're hoping that they're going to get rich someday. And then when they're rich, they'll write them a large check so they can name the university library after them.
Well, and those are all things that military kids are really excel at.
That's true. That's a very disciplined group of students. They've got, parents that care about their education. They've gone to some good schools. They've traveled. They're worldly. There's a lot there that makes them very marketable to universities.
Absolutely.
As you're filling out the questions and things, or your college applications, I used to use the acronym CLASS. Okay. You want to show you've got good character, good values. You want to show some leadership experience, activities that, if I'm looking at 2 students with identical grades, but one is very involved in doing lots of other things, I'm probably going to pick over the other one that, that's just hasn't done any other activities. Service, the good thing is most schools now actually require a certain number of service hours for students.
Yes.
Meaningful service hours. I can tell you, applications for scholarships and universities, they're looking to see, wow, this is really impressive, that the type of service-minded events that you've taken on. And then the last thing, it is a scholarship, which implies a certain amount of so all those activities and all those things, you need to work hard in school too. So
Yes.
we're looking for grades. I will say lots of times, and particularly for our scholarship, because military students usually very good, they have all those things, character, leadership, doing things. Lots of times the tiebreaker is the essay.
Yeah.
Give a lot of thought to the essay. Same way with universities. They've got some great kids applying. Um, Answer the question, whatever they ask, uh, and give it good thought, proofread it, double check it, all those things. Make sure that you grammar check it, spell check it, do whatever. Because those are the kind of things they can tick off. If they've got like 10 scholarships, they're going to go for the one that's got the perfect essay if everything else is equal. Submit everything the application asks for. In our case, we need proof that you're a student. So we'll need a copy of, your parents' DD 214, which shows they served, or your ID card, or different things that they do. Different scholarships will ask for different things. Just make a checklist for yourself. Make sure you give them everything they ask for. Uh, Again, I don't recommend you wait till Valentine's Day. You'd much rather be doing, cool Valentine's things than filling out scholarships this year. Uh, one year, as you recall, Lisa, we have a database that collects all these things, and lots of kids do wait to the last minute, and our database got overwhelmed, and on the last day it shut down, and we're getting calls from panicked things. My son's trying to log into your scholarship right now and it's down.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough we were able to get back up. And if need be, some scholarships may extend the deadline, but a lot of them are like, hey, the deadline's the deadline. You've
Right.
had, so give yourself a break, because if you wait till last minute, that's the day you're going to run out of printer ink at 10 o'clock at night. Or,
Absolutely.
you have a power outage or an ice storm or something. So give yourself plenty of time. Increase your odds by applying for more than one scholarship. Apply for our scholarships, and I recommend going through spending some time, do our scholarship search, look through the different scholarships they put up, and pick out ones that you think that you qualify and you have a pretty good chance. And I encourage every student, hey, at least 10. You probably have all the tools you need, and I'll talk about tools in just a second. But if you think about it, if you got 10 scholarships and they're $2,000 each, there's $20,000 right there. Not all scholarships are 2,000, some are 100, some are 500.
But everything makes a difference.
Every penny helps. Some things, I call this a scholarship toolbox, but for you parents out there who've got a student, or you students that are still early on in high school and you're just being smart and learning about this stuff early, I recommend when you go into the scholarship thing, go all in. The universities and the college applications and the scholarships are probably going to ask for a lot of the same stuff. So it helps to get that stuff ahead of time. We're going to ask for your school transcripts. You probably, if you already are a senior and you've already applied for college, you should have a copy of that. Standardized test scores, ACT, SAT, letters of recommendation. And I recommend students, the end of your junior year, go to a math or science professor or teacher, an English teacher, a coach, an employer, your scoutmaster, volunteer leader, someone all four of those categories I've got up there, and ask them for a letter of recommendation. The last day of school in your junior year, give them a little resume about yourself that carries that character, leadership. Here's all the things I've done, because they only see you in school. But give them that and just say, Miss Lisa, I'm going to be applying to school next year. You've got the summer here. If I give you this, would you be willing to do a letter of recommendation for me? And then that teacher will have all summer long to do that for you, and they'll probably do a really good job.
Yes.
Unfortunately, a lot of kids wait till the day before their scholarship applications due, or their college admission is due, and they walk in October of their senior year and go, Miss Lisa, can you do a letter of recommendation? I go, well, I've already got 30 kids that have already asked for one. They're probably not going to spend the same amount of time on it. So
Right.
get those early. Think about your, if you've won awards, academic awards, sports awards, clubs, uh, keep copies of those documents. I always recommend, to a student, get a ancient 3-ring binder, because a lot of the stuff that you get in these awards, they're paper awards, right? We're used to
Right.
with them being on your phone, but get a copy of it, get some of those little plastic document protectors, and put a copy of your SAT test in there, and your ACT test, and your letter of recognition, and your sports award. So you've got it all in one place, so that you can make copies of it when you need those for scholarship applications or while applying for school.
And make it easy for yourself. Now, if somebody doesn't have the time or ability to do as many sports, let's say they have a job or they're helping their family with
You know,
things, does that also kind of come into play?
I can tell you from when we were doing ROTC scholarships or looking at the academies and things like that, absolutely. Particularly if you've got a unique family situation, like
Right.
maybe your parent's a single parent, and so you're helping out, you're working a job, or you're babysitting your little brother or sister, and you can't play a sport or you can't have a job. That activities piece, being able to express how you're filling your time meaningfully, is
Yeah.
really important. I know that if a kid worked on a farm, lots of times they don't have time to be in a sport. That was a
Right.
big thing for us. Like, hey, that's a full-time job right there. So
Absolutely.
uh, be conscious of how you can demonstrate that you make meaningful use of your time. And as I say, keep documentation of those achievements, throw them in your little binder so you've got it for future reference.
Yes.
Um, the other things are that you, as a military child, have probably had some challenges in your life the average student hasn't had.
Yes.
Family separation. Hey, my mom or dad was in combat. I moved 5 times in my senior year. Single parent family, a loss of a family member, financial hardships, first generation American, language barrier, uh, any of those type of things that uh, would, for most people, create a real hardship or a barrier or a challenge for you to be a top student or whatever. And the fact that if you can have those good grades and do these things while facing these challenges, that comes back to my list of, class, character, the
Sure.
character piece of leadership activities, service, and scholarship. That class is a great record. If you
Love
think
it.
if you could have something to check in each one of those blocks, you probably do pretty well when you're looking for these scholarships.
Yes.
Um, I mentioned give yourself time to do it right. Don't wait to the last minute. Answer the question on the essay. You can write about things, but if they ask a question or they want the essay to be about this, make your essay about this. If it's a 500-word essay, don't make a 750 essay. Don't make it, 250. I'd work as close as plus or minus, 20 or 25, probably good. But give them what they ask for. Speller check, grammar check. Don't try and do it on your phone. I know you may be really good, but chances are, if you're like me, you're going to have at least a couple typos in there, and those could be the tiebreaker. Read it out loud when you're done. When you write your essay, read it to yourself or read it to your parents or friends and make sure that it's in your voice and that
Yeah.
it's coherent. And lastly, I shouldn't have to say this, but write it yourself. You parents out there, don't fill out your kids' scholarship application. You know what? You're not going to be able to go to their college classes for them. They've got to learn right now, and this is a good way for them to start. Um, I mentioned the essays, tiebreakers usually for competitive scholarships. It's a chance to show your personality. Can you put something in that essay that they're going to remember you? Um, Finding more scholarships, talked about our scholarship search engine. School guidance counselors oftentimes have drawers full of these. Now, not all school guidance counselors are created equal. I've known some that were fantastic and had drawers full of resources, and they knew Lisa Kelley and said, Lisa, you know what? I think you'd qualify for this scholarship. And some may not have been in the job that long or have that type of resource, but I'd start with them and ask. Lots of times they'll know local scholarships. If they've been there for a few years, they know which local organizations usually have scholarships at their student. They might, if it's a good guidance counselor and they know your academic background, they might be able to say, "Oh, Lisa, you're a perfect fit for the, Mrs. McGillicuddy scholarship."
Yeah. Well, that actually brings me to another point of, if somebody's watching this and maybe they don't have a military kid, but they know somebody or they know a guidance counselor to let
Yeah,
them know about it so that they can spread the word and help get more
we
kids applying.
really appreciate that when folks will pass this on, particularly if there's kids, retirees that have children there in college and they've been around, they're not around the base, they don't know
Right.
that they qualify for this. There's lots of organizations, the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis, the Lions Club, Chamber of Commerce, Elks, Mason Shriners. Almost every one of those clubs has some type of scholarship. And lots of times, a lot of their members, they may not have kids that are in a senior or high school or in college. And so they're looking, we've got the money, we just need some applicants. So look around. If your parent is a member of the Elks Club or the Shriners or the American Legion or VFW, ask them if their post has a scholarship. Uh, if your mom or dad went to a particular university and you want to go to that university, I say went to Virginia Tech, they may have scholarships for children of alumni.
That's a great
And
idea.
the other one is spouse clubs. I know that my daughter was lucky enough to get one from the DC area Navy Spouses Club. So there's probably, I don't know too many bases that don't have spouses clubs, and lots of times this is one of those things that's near and dear to their hearts.
Yeah.
Um, there are also, I mentioned our scholarship search engine. If you take the SAT, that website is collegeboard.org. They actually have a scholarship search engine on there you can use. A couple others I know of, scholarships.com, FastWeb, Scholarship Hour, Going Merry. There's a few others out there. The challenge is everybody in the country is going to be using these same scholarship engines. And where these would help outside of the military, if you had a particular interest, situation, affiliation, um, you know, you have a particular interest, situation, affiliation when you're a military child. We have a whole scholarship
Right.
database ourselves directed that. But let's say that you had a brother with leukemia, or you've had cancer, or you are a first generation American. There may be things, they'll ask you all sorts of questions on there, and they may have a whole group of scholarships targeted to those type of things. So I would use more than one scholarship search engine. Keep in mind though, uh, they, ours doesn't charge you anything. And it also, we're not going to send you 1,000 emails and spam and all that. You might have to, you don't get anything free in some of these other ones.
Well, and I think that's another good point to make is that we're also not keeping any of your personal information. We're not keeping track of, how many army and different
Yeah.
services or however else. We're not
Yeah. We're
keeping any
not
of that.
selling their name or database or contact to anybody else. We
Right.
only use this to select the students and then notify them afterwards. The other resource is the GI Bill. Chances are, if you're a military child with post 911 service, that your parent may be entitled to the post 911 GI Bill, which they can use for themselves, or they can, if they transfer before they leave the service, they can transfer it to their children. I did that for my kids, and that's a great way to go. You know,
Yeah.
the other piece of that, and what the GI Bill actually covers, it will cover up to in-state tuition where you're going to school. So if max tuition for an in-state school in Virginia is say $17,000, they'll cover up to $17,000. Now, what if I want to go to a private school? I want to go to Vanderbilt or Rice or uh, Princeton, you name it, where the tuition could be 50,000, which is way more likely than the state max state school in-state tuition. There's a yellow ribbon program, and that's an optional program for universities where they can say, if you're a military child on the GI Bill, we'll pay this much in excess of what the GI Bill will cover above the state institution. And then the federal government will match that. So a lot of schools will, hey, you know what? We'll do 50% of the difference between state school and this private school tuition, and the government match it. Not all of them do. Some may only do a few thousand, but even that few thousand gets doubled if, through the yellow ribbon program. So two good things to look at as a military child to supplement.
That's great. And we've got a few questions coming in. I'm gonna hop
Perfect.
in.
I'll
AI
come back.
before, because I know that this has come up before. The use of AI in helping to write some of these essays.
Great question.
Is
A lot
that
of universities, a lot
okay?
of universities and scholarships are looking at that. In fact, we did that for our scholarships. There are AI checkers that will give a confidence level of whether the writing was written by a AI. It knows what the template is, the standard format written like this, and some organizations, colleges, university, this is really one of the first years where that's been broadly accessible. So they've done a couple of things. One is they either have an AI checker, or they write questions which would be hard for AI. I mean, I looked at our questions from a couple of years ago, and I put it into AI, and it burped out the question in like nanoseconds.
Wow.
And when I read it, I thought, wow, this is really good. This is scary. So universities and scholarships programs are actually looking at that and trying to address it. On our scholarship, these are military kids. We assume they're good character. They're going to go with the truth. They have to check a block that says, I did not use an AI checker on the scholarship.
That's very good to know. Yeah. That was my question.
Any other questions in the queue? Feel free to send those in to Lisa. And I'm going to go on one more. So what happens once you get the scholarship? Okay. Congratulations. You get a call from your guidance counselor. Hey, you got the Loyal Order of Water Buffalo scholarship. We're going to present that to you. That's going to be presented at the senior ceremony at the end of the year. Lots of times when they're going to ask your information. Okay, Lisa, you're the scholarship. We need this information to like where you're going to school or whatever. There'll be some kind of questionnaire they get. Some may just send it to the school and say, give it to the student. But most times that organization wants to get to know you and because they're excited, you've been identified to get their scholarship. You want to know, hey, how will I get this money? Are they going to actually give me a check at graduation? In our case, for our scholarship programs, what we do is we make the check out to the university, but we send it to the student.
So when you do that, is our scholarship only for tuition, not for
our scholarship is for tuition.
Okay.
Just for tuition or books or fees, those type of
okay.
Items that are tax deductible. That's the goal of our program. And why do we do that? Because we know there's a lot of gaps. I mean, $2,000 is a small bit. If someone has their tuition already covered, either through the GI Bill or someplace else like that, we'd rather be able to put that to help out another student that doesn't have those resources.
Yes.
Will the money be directly to the school or the student? One question. What may the money be used for? Just as you say, can I use this for tuition? Some scholarships do let you use it for other things. Hey, I need a computer for my class. Could I use it for that? That's, each of the scholarship programs will have their own guidance on what they will and won't allow. Update your contact information.
Yes.
In our case, we want the students, we have a good contact, because lots of times kids won't give all their right information because they don't want to get spam or whatever. They give an account they don't use that often. And then when we want to we'll send out an email reminding them to reapply next year. Or we go to mail the check and it's a military family and they've moved and they haven't given us a heads up that, they get selected in May. We send the checks out in June or July and it goes to their old address. Meanwhile, they've been, stationed at Fort Bragg and now they're out in, Honolulu. It's you want to make sure you get those checks forwarded. The other piece is that they have your contact info. They could let you know about other scholarships or next year's scholarships. Don't lose the check. Okay. You'd be surprised how many students, they get excited, they get a check, they can put it there, and whether they're moving or they've done something or they gave it to mom and dad and they put it away and they completely forgot about it. And it's kind of embarrassing, 4 months later, you call back and go, hey, I lost the check. Can you get that for me? So,
Oh no.
Acknowledge receipt. People are giving you the scholarship. Do them the courtesy of saying, I did receive the check. Really appreciate it. And you thank them,
Yeah.
particularly ones, depending upon how competitive are, if it's a smaller one and they know the students and they're expecting you to apply next year, and it comes down to they've got 2 scholarships and one student sent a thank you note and one didn't, they may just give it to the one that said the thank you note.
Yes.
But as a courtesy, we love to hear about how our students are doing, what school they're doing, what has this meant to them. And actually, we use that when we're talking to other people about our students. I'll read letters from students say, this really helped me my senior year. It's rewarding to us. It's rewarding to the people who've given us money to give these scholarships out. When we talk to the commissary vendors about these great students, and I can read them some of the letters of how this impacted their education, they want to give more and come back the next year. And you'd love to be able to help the next student that's coming in your trail.
Absolutely.
Hopefully there's a few more questions. I just threw this last slide up here. On the left side are just some general military scholarships, some of the ones that are in our database. On the right side are some of the scholarships for children of the fallen and disabled. If you're eligible for our Heroes Legacy Scholarship, chances are you're also available for Fallen Patriots and Folds of Honor and TAPS. And it's good to know those other resources. And
That's great.
Well,
No, this is perfect. And I think you covered everything. And well, in the future, in about 15, 14 years, I will definitely be using that toolkit because I wish somebody had said something about that when I was in school, but I think that's a great idea, is just having everything ready for you at your fingertips. And just like I said, letting other people know, I think it's huge, whether you want to do that, thank you sometimes on social media, just letting people know, other kids, especially if you live on a base, letting other kids know that there's the scholarship available.
Lisa, you and I both, lived in military families.
Yes.
We know the sacrifices it takes from moving, the impact it has on your family. The goal of this program is to be able to give back, to some of these military families, these military students and what they go through. We know what a wonderful resource they are and military kids are resilient, they're worldly, they've, picking up the home front where mom or dad is deployed. They're good people, solid individuals, and it's a privilege to be able to give back to them. And we hope that the folks watching here will help spread the word about these programs so that other students can benefit.
That's great. Well, we have 2 questions. We have, can I apply if I have 1 year left of school? So
Yes, some students don't find out about us until they're, sophomore, junior, senior year. Absolutely.
Perfect.
As long as you're under 23.
Great. And if someone is going to a 4-year college, but they're doing the online version, can they apply?
As long as it's full-time, they have to take enough credits to be considered full-time, and it has to be accredited university.
Okay.
And our scholarship managers, folks that administrate us first, determine they have the, good online colleges versus whatever,
Right. Right. That makes
The
sense.
other piece, Lisa, we get questions about is, hey, I'm doing a trade school. Do you have a scholarship for trade school? And our scholarship program, our founder, Zach Fisher, really valued education. He was a bricklayer, came up, and so not getting a chance to go to college, he valued and thought it was important for others. And so we focused on that bachelor's degree. Um, but when I talk to people, say, hey, I want to go into a trade. Well, there's a couple of ways to do it. You could just go straight to trade school, but there's some trade schools that have an affiliation where those trade credits count towards an associate's degree.
Oh,
Uh, as long as they're taking full-time hours, or that goes together to count as a full-time student. And some of those credits are transferable over to an associate's degree. Or if you're an associate's degree, we assume that that's eligible for transferring over to a bachelor's degree. That's the way we could help for trade schools.
somebody is asking, if they apply and don't do well, do they have to pay the money back?
We don't have any charge to apply for our scholarships.
No, never.
But if you go to school, you get the scholarship, and you have trouble in college, and you don't do it, you don't have to pay the scholarship back. Um, we'd love for you to be able to use it, but we recognize that you may get to
Sure.
school and have challenges. It's a very interesting statistic, Lisa, and parents don't really realize this, alone the students. The chance of a student graduating from high school, heading off to college, and then graduating from that same university in 4 years is less than 50%.
Really?
Across the board. Now, they may graduate in 4 years, but they may transfer schools, or uh, you know, they may take them longer to do that. They may not, but less than 50%. So that's why the whole idea of this, of trying to get scholarships, we want students are going to be successful when they head off. And the best indicator is, now there are some kids that don't bloom until college. Maybe they struggled in high school and didn't get it, but
Yeah.
once they get out and they're in an academic environment, and they see their peers are working towards the same goals and the values, they blossom. So
Now, I do have one more question. So my brother was in this situation, and we have a lot of military kids who apply for the scholarship without knowing where they're going to be going next year, and then they get into a service academy.
yeah.
What
Uh,
happens if they get
great
awarded the
question.
scholarship, but then they are going to a service academy?
Well, in that case, we congratulate them. That's great. Since they don't have to pay tuition, they're no longer eligible. And what we'll do is we'll redirect that scholarship to someone else. And
Right.
I recognize that even service academy students, you have to pony up some money when they go there. It's a lot less than 25 or 50 grand in tuition. And it's actually not tuition they're paying for. It's like supplemental for the uniforms and things.
Right.
They'll get that money back because they get paid at Annapolis and West Point and Colorado
Right.
Springs.
Well, that's great. No, thank you for joining me, and thank you for explaining all the wonderful things about scholarships. We hope everybody who's watched applies or lets their kids or anybody that they know about this scholarship, about the different scholarship programs that we have.
I agree, Lisa. And this will be on our website. We encourage you to send this link on to others so that
Yeah,
they can benefit from it.
absolutely. Well, thank you guys. We thank everybody for coming, and have a great day. Thanks.
Learn more about us at fisherhouse.org, not just our scholarship programs, but also the Fisher houses we build, where the families of patients being treated at a military or VA hospital can stay for free while their loved ones being treated. And also learn about our Hero Miles, our Hotels for Hero programs, and other things in general we try and do to support military families.
And you can get some of those volunteer hours at any of those Fisher houses.
Absolutely.
Yep. Thanks. Okay.
All right.
I think
Have a
I
good day,
stopped
everyone.
that.